Hi friends, today we are discussing Modigliani-Miller theory, which is popularly known as MM theory, and the process of arbitrage. In the video titled Capital Structure Theory, we have seen that there are four theories regarding the capital structure. Two theories supporting the capital relevance theory and two supporting the capital irrelevance theory. Relevance means the capital structure is relevant as far as the value of the firm is concerned, or the capital structure influences the value of the firm. Capital structure irrelevance theory says that the capital structure has no bearing on the value of the firm and it is independent of the structure of the capital. We had discussed the first three theories in the video titled Capital Structure Theories, that is net income approach, traditional approach and net operating income approach. Please watch that video for a better understanding of the theories and a detailed discussion. Now let us have a look at the last of the four theories, Modigliani-Miller approach. It has two parts. First one is without tax and then it is modified to with tax. Without tax supports the irrelevance theory and with tax supports the relevance theory. The market value of a company is calculated using its earnings power and the risk of its underlying assets, and that its value is independent of the way it finances investments or distributes dividends. The approach is based on few assumptions. The assumptions are: there is no corporate taxes, capital markets are perfect, information is freely available, no transaction cost, the firms can be grouped into equivalent risk classes. Based on the assumptions, Modigliani-Miller derived the following propositions. Value of a firm is equal to net operating income divided by overall cost. A firm having debt in capital structure has higher cost of equity than an unlevered firm because of the extra compensation or the risk factor. 3. The structure of capital does not affect the overall cost of capital. It is only affected by the business risk. Modigliani-Miller approach assumes that there are no taxes, but in the real world it is not true. Almost all the countries having taxes. The interest paid on borrowed fund is tax deductible. However, the same is not the case with the dividends paid on equity. In other words, the actual cost of debt is less than the nominal cost of debt due to the tax benefits. The modified theorem of Modigliani-Miller suggests that the company can capitalize its requirements with the debts because of the tax benefits. Thus, the increased debts until a certain extent will add value to the company. Later, Modigliani and Miller accepted the existence of tax and they modified their formula by including the tax benefits. Now, the value of a levered company is equal to value of an unlevered company plus tax benefits. Now, their theorem changed from irrelevance theory to relevance theory. Let us do one problem on MM theory. There are two firms P and Q which are identical except P does not use any debts while Q has 8 lakhs, 9% debentures in the capital structure. Both firms have earnings before interest and tax of Rs 2.6 lakhs and capitalization rate is 10%. Assuming the tax of 30%, calculate the value of these firms according to MM hypothesis. It is given that there is no debt in the capital structure of P, so P is an unlevered firm. Since it is an unlevered firm, KE is equal to KO. EBIT is given, and since the tax rate is given, we can assume that with the tax model we have to do the problem. So value of U is equal to EBIT into 1 minus T divided by KE. Earnings before interest and tax or EBIT is given as 2,60,000. Capitalization rate KE is given as 10% and tax rate is 30%. Substituting these values, VU is equal to 2,60,000 into 1 minus 30% divided by 10%. That is equal to 18,20,000. Value of levered firm Q. Value of levered firm Q as per the second hypothesis of Modigliani-Miller approach or with the tax is that value of unlevered firm plus tax benefit. Rupees 18.2 lakhs is the value of the unlevered firm P plus tax benefit 8 lakhs into 30%, that is 2.4 lakhs. The total is 20.6 lakhs. The calculation is very simple, but we need to understand how the tax benefit is coming debt into tax percentage. Tax benefit is not for 1 year, it is for the perpetuity or for the entire years. Every year the company has to pay an interest of 8 lakh into 9%, that is 72,000. So value of U is equal to 18.2 lakhs into 8 lakh, that is 20.6 lakhs. So the tax savings on interest is equal to 72,000 into 30%. That is 21,600. Now the present value of 21,600 perpetuity is equal to 21,600 divided by 9%, that is 2,40,000. We can assume that 2,40,000 is deposited in a bank and we are getting 21,600 rupees every year to infinity. So if we are getting 21,600 every year, we can say the present value is equal to 2,40,000. Now we know 2,40,000 is the present value of the perpetuity, and we added the same figure in our problem but using a different formula. Here we found out 2,40,000 by multiplying the debt amount into interest percentage into tax percentage divided by interest percentage. By cancelling out the interest percentage, we get present value of interest payment is equal to debt into tax percentage. So the formula matches. Next problem. Hima Limited is an all-equity financed company with the market value of 25 lakhs and cost of equity KE is equal to 21%. The company wants to buy back shares worth rupees 5 lakhs by issuing and raising 15% perpetual debentures of the same amount. Rate of tax 30%. After capital restructuring and applying MM model with the taxes, you are required to calculate 1. Market value of Hima Limited, 2. Cost of equity KE, 3. Weighted average cost of capital. Before the issue of debt, Hima Limited is an all equity company. Cost of equity is given as 21%, and we know cost of equity is equal to net income available to the equity shareholders divided by market value of equity. Substituting these values, 21% is equal to net income divided by 25 lakhs. Net income is equal to 25 lakhs into 21%, that is 5,25,000. Now we got net income as 5,25,000, which is earnings after tax or the amount available to the equity shareholders. The tax rate is given as 30%, so the earnings before tax 5,25,000 divided by 70%, which is equal to 7,50,000. In this case, because there is no interest, EBT is same as EBIT or earnings before interest and tax. Now let us check the scenario after the capital restructuring. Earnings before interest and tax or the operating profit will not change just because of the capital restructuring, and it will remain at 7,50,000. Interest to the debt holders will be 75,000, that is 5 lakh into 15%, and the earnings before tax will be 7,50,000 minus 75,000, and the amount is 6,75,000. Taxes are given as 30% and it works out to be 2,02,500. Income available to the equity shareholders 6,75,000 minus 2,02,500, that is 4,72,500. Value of the restructured firm can be calculated by value of unlevered firm plus tax benefits. Tax benefit means the present value of the tax shield or the tax savings. Value of unlevered firm, we know it is 25 lakhs plus debt into tax rate. Present value of tax shield is equal to debt into tax rate. We have discussed in the last problem how the formula will be equal. Now 25 lakhs plus 5 lakh into 30%, same as 25 lakhs plus 1,50,000 equal to 26,50,000. Total value of the unlevered firm we found as 26,50,000. Value of the debt is 5 lakhs. So deducting the value of debt from the total value, we will get the value of equity as 21,50,000. From these figures, we can find out the cost of equity. Cost of equity is equal to net income available to the equity shareholders, which is 4,72,500, which we found out earlier, divided by the value of equity 21,50,000 is equal to 0.2198 or 21.98%. Cost of debt after tax, interest rate is given as 15% and tax is given as 30%. So I into 1 minus t, 15% into 1 minus 30%, that is equal to 10.5%. Now we know the value of debt, value of equity and the corresponding cost. From these figures we can find out the weighted average cost of capital. To find out the weighted average cost of capital, we have to prepare a table like this. Components, equity and debt, amount 21.5 lakhs and 5 lakhs, cost 21.98% and 10.5%. The weight we can find out by dividing the individual amount by the total amount, 21.5 divided by 26.5 and 5 divided by 26.5. By multiplying the individual cost with the weight and adding up, we will get the weighted average cost of capital. Since we take the cost in percentage, we will get the weighted average cost of capital also in percentage, and weighted average cost of capital is 19.81 percentage. When we compare the cost of equity with the unlevered firm and the levered firm, we can see that the cost of equity increased from 21% to 21.98 percentage. The reason being, with the induction of debt in the capital structure, the equity shareholders' position will become more risky and they need more compensation. But the overall cost of capital decreased from 21 to 19.81 percentage. The induction of cheaper debt decreased the overall cost of capital. Arbitrage refers to the simultaneous buying and selling of securities, currency or commodities in different markets to take advantage of different prices for the same asset. As a result, equilibrium is attained in different markets. This is illustrated by taking two identical firms of which one has debt in the capital structure while the other does not. Investors of the firm whose value is higher will sell their shares and instead buy the shares of the firm whose value is lower. They will be able to earn the same return at the lower outlay with the same perceived risk. Therefore, they will be better off. Because of the shifting of the investors from the firm whose value is higher to the firm whose value is smaller, the equity share capital will get adjusted and the value of both the firms will become equal. The value of the levered firm can neither be greater nor lower than that of an unlevered firm according to this approach. The two must be equal. There is neither advantage nor disadvantage in using debt in the firm's capital structure. The arbitrage process, as suggested by the Modigliani-Miller, will fail to work because of imperfections in the market, existence of transaction cost and the presence of corporate income tax. Even though we saw that the arbitrage process will not work out because of the imperfections in the market and the transaction cost, we will see how it was perceived by the Modigliani and Miller. Well, let us do a problem to understand the process of arbitrage. There are two companies, N Limited and M Limited, having same EBIT, earnings before interest and tax, of rupees 20,000. M Limited is a levered company having a debt of rupees 1 lakh at 7% interest. The cost of equity N Limited is 10% and M Limited is 11.5%. Find out how the arbitrage process will be carried on. First of all, we need to find out the value of the firms. Then only we know the shifting is happening from where to where. The shifting is happening from where the value of the firm is higher to the value is lower. The given information is tabulated. EBIT for M Limited and N Limited 20,000 each. Debt for M Limited 1 lakh. Cost of equity for M Limited is 11.5% and N Limited is 10%. Cost of debt for M Limited is 7%. Now let us find out the value of equity of M Limited and N Limited. EBIT is given as 20,000 each for M Limited and N Limited, and M Limited having a debt of 1 lakh at 7%, interest will be 7,000 and amount available to the equity shareholders will be 13,000 in the case of M Limited and 20,000 in the case of N Limited. Cost of equity is 11.5% for M Limited and 10% for that of N Limited. So the value of equity 13,000 divided by 11.5%, that is 1,13,043, and in the case of N Limited 20,000 divided by 10%, 2 lakh. Value of debt in the case of M Limited is 1 lakh and the value of the firm is 2 lakh 13,043, and in the case of N Limited there is no debt and the value will remain at 2 lakh. We know the operating profit or EBIT is same for both the firms. So the investors of the firm whose value is higher will sell their shares and instead buy the shares of the firm whose value is lower. They will be able to earn the same return at the lower spending. Suppose a person is having 10% share in M Limited. His net income is 13,000 into 10%, that is 1,300. Sale value of 10% share is equal to market value into 10%, that is 1,13,043 into 10%, that is 11,043. He wants to invest in 10% shares of N Limited. For this purpose, he will borrow an amount equal to 10% of the debt of M Limited, that is 10% of 1,10,000 at the same rate at which M Limited is borrowed, and the assumption is that the capital markets are perfect and anybody can borrow at the same rate. The total amount available with the person now is 11,043 plus 10,000, that is 21,043. With this amount he can buy 10% shares of N Limited, which will cost only 20,000, that is 2 lakh into 10%. So the person is left with 1,043 rupees. Now let us compare the income from M Limited and N Limited. We know that the income from M Limited is rupees 1300. Income from N Limited is equal to 20,000 into 10%, that is 2,000. But we borrowed rupees 10,000 and we need to pay rupees 700 as interest. The balance left with is 2,000 minus 700, 1,300. So the income from M Limited and N Limited is the same. By switching from M Limited to N Limited, we got the same income, but we left with 1,043 rupees. This is the arbitrage process. There are two companies, U Limited and L Limited, having same net operating income of rupees 20,000, except that L Limited is a levered company having a debt of rupees 1 lakh at 7%, and cost of equity of U Limited and L Limited are 10% and 18% respectively. Show how arbitrage process will work. The given information is tabulated. Earnings before interest and tax for U Limited and L Limited is 20,000 each. Debt for L Limited is 1 lakh and the interest for debt is 7%. Cost of equity for U Limited is 10% and that of L Limited is 18%. Now we need to find out the value of the firm U Limited and N Limited. EBIT is given as 20,000 and we need to deduct the interest for L Limited, that is 1 lakh into 7%, 7,000. So the amount available to the equity shareholders of U Limited is 20,000 and that of L Limited is 13,000. Cost of equity is 10% and 18% respectively, and when we divide the amount available to the equity shareholders by cost of equity, we will get the value of equity as 2 lakh and 72,222 respectively. So we need to add the value of debt in the case of L Limited. The value of the firm is 2 lakh and 1 lakh 72,222 respectively. Since the operating income is same and the value of U Limited is more than L Limited, we need to move from U Limited to L Limited to make the profit or to make the arbitrage work in our favor. Suppose a person is having 10% share in U Limited. He sells his shares for 2 lakh into 10%, 20,000 rupees. And he buys 10% shares of L Limited and invests in 10% debt of L Limited. As per the market value, 10% shares of L Limited cost 72,222 into 10%, 7,222, and 10% debt of L Limited cost 1 lakh into 10%, 10,000. Total amount required is 7,222 plus 10,000 is equal to 17,222. From the sale of shares of U Limited, he got 20,000 rupees and he invested total amount of 17,222 in L Limited. So he is left with a balance of 2,778 rupees. Now let us compare the income from two investments. Income from U Limited is 10% of the amount available to the equity shareholders, that is 20,000 into 10%, that is 2,000 rupees. And income from L Limited, 10% of the amount available to the equity shareholders, 13,000 into 10%, 1,300. Interest on the debt investment, 700 rupees. Total amount 1,300 plus 700, 2,000. So we know the income from both investments is the same, but by switching, he is able to generate a cash surplus of 2,778. This is how the arbitrage works.